Let's go out to meteorologist Mike Seidel. He's in Ocean City. Mike, if you're there, can you explain the conditions you're experiencing right now?
Yeah, good morning, Jordan. It is literally the calm before the storm, and you got to take this in. Sunrise just a few minutes ago. Jen Carfagno back at the Weather Channel, no doubt jealous of this shot. Look at this sky on fire. The surf about 2 or 3 feet right now. That is not going to be the issue. The #1 issue by far on these beaches, Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, is going to be the wind. The heavy rainfall is going to stay west of us. That's not to say we're not going to get some gusty squalls, but the multiple inch rainfall is going to be basically west of the Chesapeake Bay, Baltimore, D.C., up to Philadelphia, where we have the high risk of flash flooding. Let me show you the radar right now, and you can see the center is still well to our south and southwest, the center of Isaias. But again, it's moving at almost 30 miles an hour, so it's really racing, even faster than it was last week. Down in the Caribbean, it was moving, what, west-northwest at 23 miles an hour. You can see that feeder band coming up through the eastern shore of Virginia across Northampton and Accomack counties. That's going to be up here in a couple of hours. And let me talk about the wind and how quickly this is going to change this morning. Down around Virginia Beach and Norfolk, the winds were gusting 20 miles an hour or so. Within 2 or 3 hours, winds were gusting 50 to 60 miles an hour. And just about an hour ago at the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel, which is about a 2-hour drive south, they gusted to 75 knots. That's 86 miles an hour. So it's coming, and it's going to hit hard and hit fast and then move out very quickly. So here's your hour-by-hour forecast for Ocean City. We'll have the gusty squalls occasionally. We may get an inch of rain, but again, it's about the wind. And look how the winds ramp up. Later this morning, we'll be gusting in excess of 50, even 60 miles an hour. So a concern here on the eastern shore for power outages. And then as quickly as it ramps up, it ramps down this afternoon. And much like Faye, which hit this area hard with a lot more rain, up in Lewis, they had, what, 7 to 8 inches, a lot of flooding. This is going to be about the wind, but it's going to move in and move out very quickly. So by mid to late afternoon, people will be back out on the beach, the sun will be back out, and the winds will turn around to the southwest and back off to about 15, maybe gusts to 20 miles an hour. So, Jordan, it's going to come in hard and fast and then move on out, and that'll be it. So it's a wind issue, Jen. And Jen, one more shot. Oh, there's the sun coming up over the horizon. Got to show that to Jen Carfagno. Take a look at that, Jen. How about that for you this morning?
That is a gorgeous sunrise. And, Mike, I can't wait to show your shot, you know, in just a few hours compared to right now. It looks so peaceful out here. And it's about to be the complete opposite. Mike Seidel, that is a good-looking sunrise. And in the Mid-Atlantic, things are going downhill. Mike Seidel is live in Ocean City, Maryland. Mike, what's it like now?
Hey, Jen, a lot windier as you can see now. We're going to look off to the south and west. We've got a tornado warning now for parts of western Wycomico County. You can see on the radar the cell is southeast of Newark. It's approaching 113. We're going to keep an eye on the Berlin area over to Ocean Pines. Ocean Pines is about 4 or 5 miles on the other side of the Ferris wheel. So that's the area we're going to watch as the wind ramps up from the southeast. This tornado warning goes until 8 a.m., as well as the other warnings that extend all the way back to Wycomico County through Salisbury and Cambridge. So the severe threat continues. The flash flood threat is high along Interstate 95 from D.C. all the way to Philadelphia up towards New York City. We've got more live coverage, too, from Chris Boone in New York City. And again, weather conditions will go down very quickly on the Jersey Shore. Don't be fooled. Stay with us. We're continuing coverage of Isaias as it rolls into New England by tonight. Good morning, meteorologist Mike Seidel, as we get some of these nasty squalls from Tropical Storm Isaias here in Ocean City, Maryland. You can see them on the radar rotating in off the Atlantic. Most of these cells are moving north at about 50 to 60 miles an hour. We've also got a tornado warning till the top of the hour for parts of western Wycomico County. That's why we're right here at the hotel, right next to the hotel. But that cell is about 7, 8, 9 miles east of us, and it's based on Doppler radar. We're going to have Protog spin around here and take a look at the wind and the rain whipping up the street here, looking back towards Ocean Pines and across the bay here. You can see the rain, the sheets of rain blowing down the street, and the vegetation being whipped by winds. These are gusting over 40 miles an hour now. As expected, we knew this was going to happen. It was going to ramp up very quickly just by looking what was happening upstream in the Virginia Beach area. Ocean certainly has gotten rougher too in the past half an hour or so, but again, it's all because of the wind and the wind energy. This is going to whip on through here by about 1 o'clock this afternoon, and certainly by mid-afternoon you're going to go, what storm, because it's going to hit hard, hit fast, it's going to knock out power. We've had several tornado warnings across, I think now 4 or 5 across the eastern shore of Maryland and even parts of northern Virginia and Accomack County, and then it's going to move on out. But for the next 2 to 3 hours, it is going to be pretty sporty here on the beaches, and this is all heading up the eastern seaboard. Again, Rehoboth Beach, just up the beach, about 20-25 minutes, and then the Jersey Shore will have Reynolds Wolf up shortly from the Atlantic City area. But this is moving quickly, and we're getting this beginning of a transition from a tropical system to a subtropical system. So we got that low-level jet, and that wind's mixing down, and that's why we're expecting potentially hurricane force wind gusts all the way up around the New York City area, Long Island. Feel the force of this wind right now. It probably sustained up around 40 miles an hour. That's tropical storm force. But back to the movement, very quick movement. So by later this afternoon, you're going to feel it in Providence, Boston, out on the Cape. Now remember, this is a south and southeast wind. This is not a nor'easter, so it's going to have a different impact. If you're on the North Shore versus the South Shore, like in Falmouth, where the wind's going to come right up the water, like in Lynn on the south, just north of Boston, and that's a south-facing beach. Back here in Ocean City, visibility down, looking out over the Atlantic as these cells rotate in. Wow, this is a pretty stiff wind right now, 35, 40 miles an hour. Back in the studio, I can't see my radar, but I can tell you, looking at it just a few minutes ago, we're going to be in this for a while, maybe not quite as strong, but this is really the core and the worst of the weather that's going to hit here in this part of Maryland. Now, the other story is on the western shore, where they've had heavy rain even since yesterday, thunderstorms ahead of the main slugger rain from Isaias, and that's why we have the flash flood watches, we had flash flood warnings, and that is primarily along I-95 and just west of there. So once you get across the Bay Bridge and then up into the northern part, the upper eastern shore of Philadelphia, and that corridor, a narrow corridor of very heavy rain is going to extend towards the tri-state area and into southern New England, as Isaias, by this time tomorrow, is going to be somewhere up in the state of Maine. That's how fast this is moving. At last check, I think the last advisory was 28 miles an hour. So it's really increased this time. Yesterday it was around 9 or 10, 12 miles an hour. Then last night it was moving 20 to 22 miles an hour. So what a change as the jet stream, the mid-latitude dip of the jet stream over the eastern part of the United States really picks this up and steers it very, very quickly out of the way. What that's going to save us from is certainly a long period of this kind of wind. Also, for those of us here, not in the core, the rainfall amounts are not going to be probably much more than 1 inch. So again, very, very windy weather here. Ocean City, Maryland. We've got the tornado warnings continuing. Some of these till 8. They'll likely be extended because these same cells are going up north and northwest, up towards the eastern area and up towards the Bay Bridge. We'll keep you updated from here at the beach. We've got continuing coverage. Isaias impacting the entire coast from Florida all the way up to New England, and that will continue to move in that direction towards New York and Boston this afternoon and tonight. We'll be right back.
Yeah. Now, Mike, I know you probably can't hear me, but you had winds of 56 miles per hour. So, yeah, that is some significant wind gusting there. Obviously, you saw Mike having to hold on. So, Mike, I only anticipate your wind getting worse. What is it like right now?
Yes, we're getting the worst of it. The wind has really ramped up over the past hour and a half. You can see the gusts here on the street, and look at the vegetation right there. You can see the vegetation getting blown around by the wind here. Now, we are getting some channeling between the buildings, so the true wind is not quite as strong as this, but you get a sense of how much windier it is now versus when we came on the air at sunrise and had the sunrise and the rainbow was much quieter. The rain has backed off a little bit, but boy, this wind gusting upwards of 40 to 50 miles an hour. We still have that tornado warning. We're watching the skies off to our east, just off to our east. Everything's moving north. These cells at about 60 miles an hour. So we're keeping an eye here. We've got plenty of shelter here in the parking garage in this big hotel if we have to run inside and, on about a 15-second notice. So this is going to continue to be an issue for the next several hours with these bands coming in off the Atlantic on the northeast side of Isaias. And then once it goes by midday, really effectively the wind will come around to the southwest and back off. Right now, some of the rain picking back up. Boy, it really stings when it hits you as a projectile blowing down the street. Here in Ocean City, Maryland. Keep in mind, it's all rotating up the coast. So Rehoboth, Dewey Beach, and then up towards Cape May, the Jersey Shore, the wind's going to rapidly pick up. And this is the kind of action you're going to see in about a 4 to 5 hour window. And then, once again, because the tropical storm is moving so fast now, up around 30 miles an hour, maybe even faster at 8 a.m., this is going to be a quick-hitting system. But already we've had numerous tornado warnings here on the lower eastern shore, including Waikato, Worcester, and Somerset counties, also Accomack County, Northern Virginia. By the way, earlier our peak wind gust in the regional area was at the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel with a gust of 86 miles an hour. So, Jen, very windy right now. We had expected this. We knew it was coming. Watching the observations overnight and early this morning down around Virginia Beach, everything just kind of ramped right up within 2 hours when the winds went from 20 miles an hour to gust of 50 to 60 miles an hour.
Yeah, Mike, I mean, we're watching the wind observations down at Virginia Beach. Winds are gusting to 67 miles per hour. That is not that far from you. So you're certainly in some of the worst conditions right now, but keep his ground. And we are.
Mike Seidel, who's in Ocean City, Maryland. We've had multiple tornado warnings over the last 12 hours. Indeed, we do have a tornado outbreak underway, Mike, besides those winds you're getting from Isaias.
Kelly, it's really hard to hear anything out here. You can see what we're in right now. One of these very strong squalls coming in off the Atlantic. I can hardly see a block away. That's how hard it's raining and how hard it's blowing. Boy, this really feels like a tropical storm now. I wish you could see what I'm seeing. It is just howling out here. No doubt we had wind gusts here over 50, maybe a 60-mile-an-hour gust over the past 10 or 15 minutes. And people are trying to walk down the street, and they can't because the wind's blowing so strong between the buildings down on Baltimore Avenue out to Coastal Highway. So we're really getting it on the chin now. As we've been saying all morning, this was on the way, but it's not going to last very long, a couple of hours, and then we'll get in the clear by mid-afternoon. You're going to say, what tropical storm? But this is all heading up the East Coast. So, get ready. Get ready for what's on the way. This is what's on the way. Jersey Shore and points north. We'll keep you updated. We'll be right here in Ocean City, Maryland throughout the morning, right here on the Weather Channel. Stay with us.
Conditions in the mid-Atlantic have just been deteriorating. Mike Seidel is live in Ocean City, Maryland. Mike, those winds up over 50 for at least the last half hour for you.
It was wild and woolly here over the past half an hour as we had a squall come in associated with a tornado warned storm, and we've got several tornado warnings. Let me show you the video. I shot it right up here in the street about 20 minutes ago. You can see how quickly things changed this morning, and look at this. A car was trying to come up the street up from Baltimore Avenue, and the visibility was down to about 20 25 yards. This is about as hard as I've ever seen it rain. This is the blinding rain, and I estimated the wind gust about 60 miles an hour. That's the best I can do for you. I'm going to check the airport, but that's, inland in West Ocean City over by Assateague, and some of these things are very mesoscale, even microscale. But you can get a sense of how vicious this squall was, and this is the kind of squalls we've seen moving through the eastern shore, and this is going to knock out power. Back to the radar now. The worst of it is through Ocean City. We have one more squall that's going to come in here. I don't think it's going to be as ferocious as the last one. And then we've got those tornado warnings. Look at those up in Sussex County, right up and down 13, Seaford, Laurel. Looks like the heaviest rain now, the worst of it, is around Ellendale in Sussex County. And then you move across into Maryland from Dorchester up into Talbot County. These are all heading towards the upper shore. Again, generally moving north, maybe a little west of north at about 60 to 70 miles an hour. There's going to be more tornado warnings. There's a tornado watch for the shore until noon today. So, batten down the hatches. And for those of you watching us from the Jersey Shore and points north, you saw the video. That's the kind of weather that's heading your way later today. So be prepared for the power to go out from the Jersey Shore to Long Island and all the way into the northeast of New England. Kelly Cass, back to you. More on those tornado warnings not far from here.
Yeah, exactly, Mike. We definitely have a tornado outbreak.
Mike Seidel, who is in Ocean City, Maryland. And Mike, no doubt you certainly have been dealing with those winds the last few hours, some pretty strong gusty winds. How are you faring for you at this time?
Hey, Alex, not a whole lot has changed. The winds are still gusting up over 40, 45 miles an hour, and they're sustained at about 20 to 25 out here on the Ocean City's beaches. A lot of sand erosion, and we're getting a little bit of beach erosion. Just saw the lifeguards. They're ready to get their towers back up and get back to business this afternoon. In fact, as I look off to the south, I'm seeing a lot of blue sky. But for the meantime, just a light rain shower. We had it really rough this morning. In the 8 o'clock hour, I want to show you that squall. I was shooting back towards Baltimore Avenue, and you can't even really see Baltimore Avenue. You can see the headlights in the car, and look how hard it's raining and how hard it's blowing. These are gusts up over 60 miles an hour, and this has knocked out some power in the area. There's some power lines reported down in North Ocean City, but by and large, once that moved through, we were done with a severe threat. We still have the wind, and Alex, once the center goes due west of us, the winds are going to continue to come around, veer around to the southwest. In fact, right now, it seems like they have rotated a little bit, now just a bit offshore. A sign of things improving and the wind backing off. But the surf is literally getting blown up towards Delaware and New Jersey right now. Alex? Oh, no, let's go back to Dr. Postel. I'm sorry, Dr. Postel.
Yes, Mike, we have very significant issues.
Isaias certainly has been making its way through the state of Maryland. And Peter Rogers, Mike Seidel is in Ocean City. And Mike, you no doubt got rocked by a squall a bit earlier this morning. Any improvement in the situation at this time?
Yeah, Alex, it's still blowing out here. In fact, the airport, which is over by Assateague, I might as well just hold on to this. They just gusted to 57, 33 gusts to 57, so almost still tropical storm sustained as the center moves off to our west. Once it goes by, the winds are already starting to turn a bit offshore. They were southeast when we got hit hard this morning, south and now southwest. And if you look at the visible satellite photo, there's a lot of clear skies down towards the Chesapeake Bay Bridge tunnel. By the way, the Chesapeake Bay Bridge was shut down completely earlier because of the wind. But the sun's going to come back out here in a couple of hours, and that'll be it. But the wind is still blowing the sand up the beach. I want to take you back. I shot this video. I just checked the timestamp. 8:11 a.m. Eastern in Ocean City. Take a look at this. I'm looking west towards Baltimore Avenue, which is about a half a block away, but you really can't see it because of the rain and the winds. And we just got a report from the Weather Service, peak wind gusts 69 miles an hour. That's pretty healthy. Over in Salisbury, they gusted to 61, and just northwest of Salisbury and Mardella Springs, a tornado touchdown did some damage, but fortunately nobody was injured. We've had so many tornado warnings with this particular system, and that's probably going to be certainly one of the takeaways from Isaias as we look back on this, because by this time tomorrow it's going to be way up in the state of Maine. The surf is still angry, but as the wind dies down, the waves will come down too. The tide is going out. We had high tide 9:15 this morning, so now we're past high tide. We have had a little bit, I look here, and we've had a little bit of beach erosion, but no deep cuts. That's kind of typical. And Alex, as we know, these beaches kind of naturally replenish themselves. And by the way, the lifeguards are out here on duty, and they're whistling anybody that tries to get close to the water. They don't want anybody in this water right now because it's just too dangerous with the surf and the rip currents.
That's good to hear. Thanks so much, Mike. Getting into the water, just avoid. Isaias making its way across to the state of Maryland, and that's, of course, where we find our very own meteorologist, Mike Seidel, in Ocean City. And, Mike, no doubt earlier today you got hit by one of those big squalls. How are you faring for this hour? I know those winds certainly cranked up quite a bit. I think it was nearly 70-mile-per-hour winds there in Ocean City.
Yeah, 69 miles an hour this morning. We got out here at 6 a.m. We had just an incredible sunrise, and then we had a rainbow over there, and we're thinking, and I'm telling everybody, hey, this isn't going to last long, because we were watching the observations down around Virginia Beach, and the winds there went from 20 gusts to over 50-mile-an-hour gusts in about 2 hours. And then it hit. Let me show you. Just about 2 hours and 15 minutes after sunrise, look at the squall that nailed us here. Gusts nearly 70 miles an hour. We had tornado warnings all over Worcester County, Wycomico, Somerset, and then up the shore. We had one confirmed touchdown. I saw the damage photos out of Mardello Springs, but these winds were sustained probably close to 45, maybe 50 miles an hour, well above minimal tropical storm force, and then it moved out. Now the rain is over with. The winds are beginning to back off. They're blowing offshore, so that's cleaning up the surf a little bit. But if you've been watching all morning, you've seen a noticeable difference in the surf. At sunrise, 3-footers. Then they really ramped up, and now you can see how they're taming down, because the surf and the waves are created by the wind energy. Once the wind dies down, then the energy dissipates and the waves will back off. Still, the rip currents and the lifeguards really are not letting anybody go in the water. So sunny skies this afternoon, lighter southwest winds, and Reynolds, much like Faye back in July, it was a stormy morning, but then by 4 or 5 o'clock, people were out on the beach, eating outdoors, and if you had slept, you could have actually slept through it, much like this. Things will get much, much better for you, too, up there on the Jersey Shore later on today.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be a world of difference by the time you get to the afternoon.
Issues to deal with now.